Another aspect of the first principles, which I like to boil them down to two all the time, opposing, this this thought opposing that other thought, or what's the opposite of this thought versus that thought, is look at read the Bible with these two thoughts in mind at all times. What is pointing to rebellion, and what here am I reading that's pointing to redemption? When I was first convinced to read the whole Bible for myself, in the first paragraph, this concept comes forth. It says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So that was all created out of nothing. He spoke it into existence. So then the next line is the earth was without form and void. So obviously something happened right there. Something happened. It was formed. There's a lot of history. We're not sure exactly what happened. We've got lots of hints, but it becomes formless and void. So you got rebellion, some sort of rebellion, and then here comes the redemption. God's reforming it. He's making Adam out of the dirt. So this may help a lot of people wondering about creation and evolution, is that the earth and the universe can be both old and new. It was created, who knows when, how many light years, millions of light years ago it was created. And then it was reformed. So millions of years for the universe, possibly the earth. But the earth has been reformed, and you can see that all across the earth with receding, not the coastline, but Niagara Falls. I mean, it's receded back. It looks like been receding. The rocks have been decaying off the edge, being worn out for 5,000 to 6,000 years. There's an interesting thing that scientists have discovered, which I thoroughly enjoy. I appreciate scientists digging in the ground, looking at things. They discovered a civilization 10 to 12,000 years ago, Göbekli Tepe, all these things with worshiping images on posts and pillars. I mean, the more you look at this with rebellion and redemption, it looks like these dudes were worshiping false gods at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Look what the word Turkey means, you jibe Turkey. Look at how Turkey plays in history and in the future history. I think John says Turkey is a seat of Satan. So getting back to first principles, in the first few, paragraphs of the Bible, I read a book called Earth's Earliest Ages, and it's about these words tohu and vohu, that you don't create something destroyed. If you want to read all about it, the first half of the book is great. Second half of the book, kind of wonky. I would stop reading after he explains the tohu and vohu. And one final point, I can get very distracted. I like how and why. I like to build things. I like to know how things work. I did an assignment in school, science project, the 6 simple machines. And when I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, I did a demo science project, the internal combustion engine, and showed how it worked and everything. So I'm a very how and why person, but I can get distracted. It's okay to go off into those parts of your personality, but not to completely disregard the main thing is that Christ did come down to earth to save our souls. That's the main part of life. And once you get saved, what do you do after that? Do you keep hearing the same story over and over and over again? Paul said, hey, let's go into the meat of the word. I'm tired of giving you the milk. So this video is obviously for somebody, you've been listening this long, about the whys, why and how. And I like to simplify things. I hope this can help some people, that the earth is both old and new, universe old and new. God has got on every story in the Bible, not every page, but I take issue with the poor well-meaning ministers who are just regurgitating what they heard from some seminary school, that Jesus is on every page. Well, if you look at the first page of my Bible, Jesus doesn't appear on the first page of the Bible. Within the first concepts, by chapter 3, it does say that he's going to send, Genesis 3:15, look it up. There's the starting of this conflict that we're part of. We get to play a part in it, and it's up to us to believe it with our ability to choose good over evil, to discern goodness or evilness, if we want to remain with God or rebel against God. Simple as I can put it. Thanks for listening.